Good day, viewers. Yeah, welcome back to Aliphatic Teaches. Today, we're going to be looking at mathematics. In our mathematics class, we'll be talking about quadratic equations. Now, quadratic equations, before we dive into this particular topic, if you are a new member on this channel, kindly subscribe and click the notification bell for my subsequent contents. Now, the word quadratic means an expression or an equation that have a maximum power of 2. For instance, when we have something like 2x squared plus 3x plus 5 and 2x squared plus 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. The two are quadratic, while the first one is a quadratic expression, while the second one is a quadratic equation. So these are the equation because it ends with 0, equals to 0, it has equals to 0 or equals to a particular number. We say it's an equation. It's a quadratic because it has a power of 2. So quadratic equation is what we want to discuss today. A quadratic equation has a general formula, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, where c is a constant. And this a and b, which are coefficients, they are variable. They are variable in the sense that they can change. So they can be changing, where c is a constant. So we can have an equation like this one, with a complete quadratic equation. This a indicates these two. That is, a has a value of 2, b has a value of 3, while c has a value of 5. While sometimes it might not be like this, we can have something like, let's say we have y squared minus 4 is equals to 0. In this case, we have ax, this one. In this case, we have a constant, which is minus 4 as a constant. But we don't have bx. Since we don't have bx, it means that it's still a quadratic equation. While sometimes this bx might be eliminated, like having a squared minus 2a is equals to 0. In this case, we have this value of as squared, then we also have this one, but there's no constants. So this is also a quadratic equation. So quadratic equation can occur in 3 different forms. In the full form, also without a constant, and also without the value of bx. Now let's look at the way we can apply the quadratic equation. How do we solve quadratic equation? Example 1. Solve the equation. Want to solve the equation a squared minus 3a plus 2 is equals to 0. Now what are the process of solving this? The first one is we multiply the constants with the coefficient of a squared. When we say coefficient, there's a number before this a squared, which is 1. Don't forget, in mathematics, we say a, but we cannot say 1a. So 1a, as a mathematics student, we don't say 1a. 1a also means a. Meaning that as this a squared is, there's a particular constant here, a number here, which is what? 1. So we say 2 multiplied by 1, we have 2. Then the sign before it, plus times plus, we have plus. So we have plus 2. Now we are going to look for 2-digit number. Now when you multiply the 2-digit numbers together, you are going to have plus 2. When you add it or you subtract it, you are going to have 3. Don't forget, when you multiply the numbers together, you have 2. When you multiply it, when you add it rather, or you subtract it, you will have 3. Now look for the number, guess the number. Okay, let us say we have 2 and 1. Okay, when we have 2 and 1, what is going to be the sign? When you multiply the two numbers together, you are going to get positive 2. When you add it together or you take it away, you are going to have negative 3. Okay, let me suggest, let me say I'm having plus minus. I'm only guessing. I multiply first, plus 2, multiply by minus 1. Secondly, you had addition means take them together. Plus 2 minus 1. Now let's look at it. Plus times minus, we have minus. 2 times 1, we have 2. Firstly, we have minus 2 here. And in this case, this is plus 2. It means these signs are wrong. Let me also use another sign. Let me say I'm going to have minus minus. So this one is going to be minus 2 times minus 1. While this one will be minus 2 minus 1. This is addition by taking them together. Minus times minus, we have plus. 2 times 1, we have 2. So I'm able to get plus 2. Okay, minus 2. I'm owing someone 2 naira. I'm owing another person 1 naira. How much am I owing them together? That is 3 naira. So that is negative 3. And what is here also is what? Negative 3. Meaning that I'm going to eliminate minus 3a. I will put minus 2 and minus 1 to replace minus 3a. So I have a squared minus 2 in terms of a, minus 2a, then minus a. Don't forget, you don't say minus 1a. This a is standing as 1. Then plus 2 is equals to 0. Open your brackets, close it here. Another bracket, close it here. So what is common in both? How do we know the common factor? Let's go back to our elementary mathematics. We have a squared, then minus 2a. A squared could be written as a times a, minus 2a could be written as minus times 2 times a. So a is common here. So the common factor here is a. So I have a. If I remove a from this one, it will remain a. If you remove a from here, it will remain minus 2. So that's the common factor. Now what is common in both? Here, nothing is common. Since nothing is common, you are going to pick 1. Because when you multiply 1 by each letter, it will give you that letter. So I have minus 1, open brackets. This will be a. Then, what is here is positive. Okay, let me say plus 2 equals to 0. But one thing is in quadratic equation. What is that? What is in this bracket must be the same as what should be in this bracket. So which means that this sign is wrong. Also, when you have to use this minus to multiply out, maybe you get this back. Let's look at it. Minus times plus, I have minus. Minus times plus, I should have minus, and this one is positive. Then this sign is wrong, you put it to the what? Minus. So what is here must also be here. So which means I will now have this a outside, a minus 1, those values outside, take them together. Then pick those values in the bracket, a minus 2 is equals to 0. It means a minus 1 is equals to 0, or a minus 2 is equals to 0. So take this out. I have a is equals to 1, or a is equals to 2. Therefore, a is equals to 1 or 2. Example 2. Solve the equation 2x squared is equals to 3x plus 5. Don't forget, this is an equation because of this equals to. It's a quadratic equation because of the power of 2. But we need to rearrange this equation according to the quadratic formula. The general formula that says ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Meaning you take this 3s in plus 5 in. So we have 2s squared. When this positive is coming in, changes to, its constant is equals to, it changes to what? Minus 3x. When this one is plus, it changes to what? Minus 5 equals to 0. Fine. Don't forget the first rule. Use the last digit, which is the coefficient, the constant, to multiply the coefficient of s squared. 5 times 2, we have 10. Then the signs, minus times plus, we have minus. That's minus 10. Now, we are going to look for two values, two digit numbers. Then when you multiply together, you will get 10. When you add it or you subtract it, you are going to get 3. Let us pick 5 and 2. Now, the signs, let us guess the sign. until we get where we are going to. But let me say minus plus. The first thing is we multiply. The second one we add. Minus 5 times plus 2. Also minus 5 plus 2. Minus times plus, we have minus. 5 times 2, we have 10. I'm able to get minus 10. Minus 5, I'm owing someone 5 naira. Plus 2, I have 2 naira with me. If I should pay 2 naira from the 5 naira I'm owing, it should be left with 3 naira that I'm still owing. Because I'm owing, it's going to be negative 3. Now, I can get minus 3 here. So the next thing is to eliminate minus 3x and input minus 5 and plus 2. I have 2x squared minus, okay, since this one is 2, let me first of all write this 2 plus 2x, then minus 5x, then the last one minus 5 equals to 0. Open your bracket and close it. So what is common in both? According to what we did the other time, to know the common factors, 2x squared, then 2x. So here we're going to have 2 times x times x. Here we have 2 times x. 2 is common, s is common. So 2s is common. So we have 2x. Open your brackets. When you remove 2x here, we are going to be left with x plus, if you remove 2x here, there is no more value. If there is no more value, you use what? 1. Now what is common in both? Minus 5x, then minus 5. We have minus times 5 times x. Here we have minus times 5. Minus is common, 5 is common, so we have minus 5. So minus 5 is common. Open brackets. When you remove minus 5, you'll be left with x. When you remove minus 5, you'll be left with nothing. That is plus 1 equals to 0. Don't forget, what is in this bracket must be the same here. Also, you have to test if this sign, when you open the bracket, you give you what is here. Minus times plus, we have minus. Minus times plus, we have minus. It's okay. Now, those values outside, we take them together. Open bracket 2x minus 5, close it. Open another bracket x plus 1 equals to 0. Here we have 2x minus 5 is equals to 0. Or x plus 1 is equals to 0. Take this out. 2x is equals to 5. So we divide both sides by 2. Divided by 2, divided by 2. So s equals to 2 goes in 5. We have 2 whole number, 1 over 2. Take this way. We have s equals to minus 1. Therefore, x is equals to 2 whole number, 1 over 2, or minus 1. Example 3. Solve the equation a squared minus 3a is equals to 0. Now, here in this case, it's still a quadratic equation, but something is missing. There is no constant here. Okay, since there is no constant, it's very easy. What is common in both, according to the common factor we did in the first example and the second example, a is common. Open your brackets. A goes in a squared, it will be left with a minus a goes in 3a, we're going to have 3 equals to 0. Here, a is equals to 0, or a minus 3 is equals to 0. So a equals to 0, or take this minus 3 here, a equals to 3. Therefore, a is equals to 0 or 3. Example 4. Solve the equation m squared equals to 16. M squared is equals to 16. So let this equation equals to 0. Let me take this plus 16 inside. So I'm going to be having m squared minus 16 is equals to 0. When you look at this, anytime you have an equation this way, in which you have a power of 2 here, and in between these constants, there is a negative sign there, in which the constant here is a perfect square. This equation is called difference of two squares. Difference of two squares. So it can be written as m squared minus 4 squared is equals to 0. In writing difference of two squares, this equation becomes, open bracket, m plus 4, close the bracket, open another bracket, m minus 4, close the bracket, equals to 0. So this is the expression of this difference of two squares. So this means m plus 4 is equals to 0, or m minus 4 is equals to 0. Take this way, m is equals to minus 4, or take this one here, m is equals to plus 4. So therefore, m is equals to minus 4, or 4 is equals to plus or minus 4. So that is the value of m. Example 5. Solve the equation 25z squared equals to 9. 25z squared is equals to 9. Don't forget the last example we did. You have to take this one in. 25z squared minus 9 is equals to 0. Of course, this is the difference of two squares also. But in this case, there's a constant. In this case, there's a coefficient before the z squared. So this 25 will be written as 5 squared. That's 5 times 5. Then z squared minus 9 will be written as 3 power 2 equals to 0. So I'm going to have 5 take z plus 3 in brackets. Open another bracket, 5z minus 3 equals to 0. So I have 5z plus 3 is equals to 0, or 5z minus 3 is equals to 0. So take this one here, 5z is equals to minus 3. When the plus crosses, divide both side by 5. So z is equals to minus 3 over 5. Or take this one out, 5z is equals to 3. Divide both side by 5. I have z is equals to 3 over 5. Therefore, my z is equals to plus or minus 3 over 5. So this is how to solve quadratic equations. In our subsequent classes, we are going to move on quadratic equation, which is going to be our lesson 2. If you are a new member on this channel and find this class interesting, kindly subscribe and click the notification bell. Do not forget to also share to other members for them to benefit. Thank you.